I said to myself, look, this is your last chance. Okay. Household doesn't love you. Master doesn't love you. Childhood friends doesn't love you. School doesn't love you. Only escape, internet. Start fresh. And I said to myself, okay, 2014, if it doesn't work out, if one person doesn't like this, not at all, I'm going to upload loads of videos. If one person doesn't like this, I'm going to take my own life. Simple as that. But I managed to get 125 subscribers in a year, which is pretty solid. And especially for a 14-year-old as well, who just wanted to be loved. That's it. And even to this day, that's one of my main goals, to be loved. And strangers on the internet show more love to me than my own people have. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Renecide podcast. Of course, listen, applause at the end, okay? Thank you very much. But
Okay.
Listen, okay? I've been wanting to have you on before COVID, but of course, what happened?
COVID.
COVID. Happened to COVID.
Yes, unfortunately.
So, we've been planning this for a while, and you're, of course, into philosophy. You're a filmmaker, a creative, all that good shit. And I assume you have high dreams and expectations of yourself in the future, and you want to do well for yourself, basically.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah. I was going to say, I was like, nah, I can't be bothered.
I have to.
Yeah. But, man, today, we're going to be talking about...
So lovely seeing your face, bro. Before you start asking me questions, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah, man. Like, this whole year has been a bit of a blur, but it's been a good type of blur because, it's like a self-reflection type of thing. And I spent most of this year entirely by myself. Not mostly, but 2 months by myself.
You are forced to do a lot of introspection.
Exactly.
I hate introspection.
I love it.
See, I'm quite bad. I tend to be quite bad at introspection because my issue is, so you have confidence, right?
Yeah.
And you have the sweet spot, then you have too much confidence.
Yeah.
Which leads to narcissism and low confidence. I tend to swing towards the low confidence.
Yeah.
So I can never confidently analyze myself as a person. But it's something that needs to be worked on. I think everyone should work on introspection. Because if you know yourself, then you know what you need to work towards to improve your life in general, I guess.
Because if you know yourself, you start to begin to understand how other people work as well. Because once you figure out how you work, you start to figure out how other people work.
It's very important, especially in our industry. It's a collaborative industry. You need to know so many different personality types and how to engage with them, just so you can work harmoniously in a set or in any project that you're doing.
100%. But we haven't really talked about what we're going to talk about.
No, we haven't. My bad.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's cool. No, it's because that's a good thing because the conversation's flowing, And that's like all my podcast conversations. Listen, when I speak, you do your little dance afterwards, okay? Mr. Paulo,
Sorry.
Plum Boy.
Sorry, Rennie.
Rennie. Yo, today's episode, we're going to be talking about death and legacy. Now, what do you want your legacy to be?
Okay, it's a very tough question. I don't give a fuck. Pardon my French to the audience out there. I don't give a fuck if I am known, because I don't think... First thing is, I think people always assume that legacy is something that you're going to be known for. Yeah. You can have a huge impact without being known. So, for example, the first people that started the agricultural revolution, you don't know their names, you don't know what they liked, you don't know what kind of people they were, what kind of things they talked about, but you feel their impact because they slowly but surely started the
agriculture.
Agricultural revolution, and which led to us having cities and me and you being able to be here with this amount of technology and actually talk instead of us being hunting and gathering. But I definitely do want to have some sort of impact. My issue is, I don't know exactly.
Like, what kind of impact you want to make?
I want to have an impact in society that will lead people to be kinder to each other, maybe. Lead people to
you want a more
work
utopian
together.
Vision.
Yeah, Yeah, more of a utopian vision. I don't know necessarily how I'm going to accomplish it with filmmaking, with writing, but the goal's there.
Yeah.
And I don't care if I'm known for it or not, but it is something that I definitely do want to work towards. How do you vision your legacy?
Two things. The way I vision my legacy is I want to become the greatest filmmaker of all time. And I just want to become the Michael Jordan of film, you know? So every time you think of basketball, every time you think of golf, for golf you think of Tiger Woods, for basketball you think of Michael Jordan, or even LeBron James, obviously, Kobe Bryant. But Michael Jordan's a staple guy. Like, you know, you heard of Air Jordans and everything.
Of course, I'm not into basketball, but
you heard of him.
It had a cultural impact with the Air Jordans as well. It went from sports to this whole zeitgeist,
100%. For boxing, Muhammad Ali. Wrestling, Hulk Hogan, The Rock, all them lot. So my legacy, it's not that I want to. It's that I have to become the greatest of all time. And not only because this shit isn't for me, you know. This shit is for every person that's ever felt doubt in their lives. That's for every person who, in my culture, felt like them feeling suicidal is a sin, because it is sin within the book. Yeah. And I just want to make sure that, look, no matter what happens, I will do anything together. I don't know how much time I've got left, but I will change the world and I will become the greatest filmmaker of all time. Even if that shit kills me, I can proudly say that I've done more in my life than my family has, that my culture has. And I want people to take inspiration from that and do something with their own lives. So,
I have a follow-up question. Let's say that you become the greatest filmmaker, that's your goal, and you have a significant impact in society. So your style has inspired and influenced people.
Yeah.
Would you be happy if no one knew who you were, for example? If you've done this work, let's say, a multitude of people have been inspired, and because of that, you started this, creative catalyst, and you let people from your own culture, they fight to be more expressive, etc. Would you be happy if, let's say, you die, you've done that, but you weren't known for it?
That's a very good question. If it leaves an impact, I'm very content with that, because you could be famous but also have no impact. But if I was a nobody, if I left an impact and if it made that much of a difference, I'd be glad to. Because I remember me and you had a conversation weeks back. I'll sacrifice myself for 1,000 people that are suicidal just for them to make sure that they'll never feel suicidal again. And if that means them not knowing who I am, as long as if they feel that pain is not there with them, then I'll be more than happy to do that. So my answer is, I would love to just make an impact. If I'm not remembered, like me specifically, at least the actions that I took are remembered, is what built up the next generation and the generation after that. But legacy is very interesting because I don't think I'm going to be alive for long.
We've talked about it. You said perhaps late 20s / early 30s.
By 30, yeah.
By 30.
And I think the interesting... Bear in mind, I do want to be alive as long as I can, but I don't think I will. And the reason... I don't think I said the reason why to you before.
No.
The reason why... I've lived on this planet for 20 years. Almost 21 years. Because my birthday is December 21st. I've barely survived the simple part of life, technically, because childhood, you have more freedom. Teenage years, you don't have to worry about bills or nothing. All that I barely survived that part of my life. My childhood, my teen years. Once I step out to the actual world, where I'm my own place, bills, I have to develop relationships of my own, all that kind of stuff. Once I step into that world, will I survive?
See, but my counter to that is that you've built resilience. Of course, your teenage years, your childhood, you have less to worry about.
Yeah.
But of course, you're not very well equipped sometimes to deal with mental anguish. So I'd say also, you are now equipped with that resilience. You are now equipped not only that with a hunger, a goal that you want to follow. Because you say that now, I can understand why you say that, but every time you talk to me about your goals and ambitions, I'd say you could very easily go beyond 30 just because, if something occurs, I think that goal that you have, and it's, I think, probably now carved into your brain, written there, will always activate to say, I need to keep going just because of this particular reason, which is greatest filmmaker alive.
I might just stretch out to say greatest artist alive, because obviously I want to venture into the fashion industry. I want to venture into the music. I want to do all these different things.
Same here.
Yeah, exactly. Because we just want to be an artist. An artist is free to do different types of things. I can't stay in this path, like just one path, because we're only alive for a limited amount of time. Imagine if you went to do this and then this other path and then this other path. Obviously, not to the point of like depression and overworking yourself, but to a point where let me really challenge myself. What can I do? What can I not do? Who else can I meet in the music industry? Who else can I meet in the fashion industry? All that kind of stuff. And it's interesting you mentioned that it's carved into my brain to be the best, because it is. And it wasn't like that last year, because last year, obviously, I was depressed and suicidal. Obviously, in my past, the amount of times I wanted to take my own life was one too many, and I had nothing or no one to go to. So that is why being the best is so key, because this isn't for the awards or the trophies. I haven't won a single award in my life, other than a certificate to say, look, thank you for, attending class. That's it. Like, just thank you for showing up.
I uncovered some of the awards I personally got in school, and it was like Ready Reader Awards, because I was reading in the library, always taking out books.
So it's simple stuff, but you haven't won, we haven't won an award,
For creative practice.
We haven't won shit. That's the thing.
We haven't.
And I think that is inspiring to see in a way, because people are seeing our come up. So they're saying, Digi Lo Savant that's his alias, by the way, Digi Lo Savant. his real name is Paulo, but
José Paulo Teixeira Gonçalves.
Fuck that shit. But we haven't won awards, and we clearly put in a lot of work over the years. So when we look back at this, we'll be like 5 years time, maybe even 2 years time, 3 years time. We'll look back and be like, wow, we haven't won shit back then, but now we have all this. And it's inspiring to see someone's journey from the come up. So about legacy, like going back to it being carved in my brain, it has to be there, because I remember when I was a kid, I was hoping, praying, one day there'll be someone to save my community. Just one person to speak up, to do something. 12 years later, there's not a single motherfucker saying nothing. And I just want to be I might get into a load of trouble, but if not me, then who? So, especially in my culture as well. So, I guess this leads to another question, which I mentioned childhood very briefly. Would your childhood self be proud of who you are?
Very conflicted.
Yeah, let's not talk about criminal activities, okay?
Oh yeah, I'm a criminal. I'm mafioso for sure. My childhood self will be very conflicted. So you touched upon the point that you went through your childhood, teenage years. You battled what you had to battle, and then it made you want to be the greatest. With me growing up, I was obsessed with almost to a narcissistic point. I want to be the best at everything. I want to be the most talented, this, that. But when I went through, it was mostly anxiety, a bit depressed as well. When I went through that, and that was because there was a big shift in my confidence. So I went from having semi-decent self-esteem to it plummeting rapidly. That actually changed for me. I just said, I just want to be happy, fulfilled, and do something that I could still be, let's say, a maverick. I could still be a titan.
Yeah.
But I ponder. Some days I want to be the greatest, but some days I'm like, I just want to be happy. And I don't know how my childhood self would take that. My childhood self couldn't sometimes take a joke. But that stemmed from being heavily bullied by multiple people, etc. So, I was always on the defensive. But now, now, my personality has changed so much. Have you felt that from when you were a child to now, how your personality has changed?
My soul hasn't. As in, I grew up around people that weren't good people. They were homophobic. I got taught to be homophobic. Obviously not anymore, clearly. That was when I was like 7, 8 years old, because it says in the book you're not supposed to be friends with gay people or whatnot. In the Quran, just to clarify. I've been around racist people. People told me, my own kind told me don't hang out with the black kids, don't hang out with the white kids, all that kind of stuff. I remember my own kind saying homeless people are disgusting, never donate money to them, all that kind of stuff. Wait. It gets even better. And they have this mindset of being so stuck and so behind, like health as well. I remember I lost weight, got shamed for looking anorexic, and then now that I obviously have a bit of muscle on me, they just so quiet now because you can't really shame someone for having like muscle. So my soul, when I was a kid, it didn't agree with all that. I didn't know what the heck homophobic was. I didn't know what transfer. I didn't know what any of this was. I didn't even know what racism was. I didn't even say the word fuck or anything like that because I was too innocent and whatnot. I got taught that about my people. But my soul was just, it didn't, like the homeless man situation, like saying, oh, homeless people are disgusting. I disagree with my mother when she said that, when she believes that homeless people are disgusting, because I'm the type of person to judge you for who you are and not for what you have, like materialistically. And back to the question where you said, do you feel like your childhood self changed from now to the present? Answer is obviously, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Because life experiences. But soulfully, based on who I am, and I tried so hard to change this, to be more accepted by, people that hurt me. I tried to change myself. Obviously my personality, because I just want people to love me, but I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I don't have that evilness, or I don't have that. I just don't have it in me to worsen myself, because I have to express myself, whether it's positive or whether it's negative, as in the next project. Well, next project's not really negative, but if it's a negative concept like heartbreak, spoiler alert, I just have to stay in touch with my inner child, because my inner child is who I really am. So, yeah.
I agree with that as well. But of course, the soul and personality, I think, they are two different entities in a way. And I don't think my childhood self would be able to gauge the soul inside necessarily by perhaps the way I acted, I don't think my childhood self would be proud, but really? I don't think it would be necessarily disappointed. Neutral, yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, at least it's not negative, At least it's down the middle. But then again, your childhood self doesn't have the experiences that you do, that your present self.
That's very true. And my childhood self had very unrealistic expectations of themselves as well.
Like being the best at everything.
Yeah. So, for example, I'm not the best at everything. And I've actually come to terms with that fact. And actually, I think that's a really good fucking thing. And it's a necessary thing in our world. That's why human beings are collaborative animals, social animals.
Yeah.
Because we're all fundamentally flawed. I've been living with a mantra. And you might disagree with me, but my mantra is everyone's shit. And what I mean about this is, a good person, let's say, is 80% good, but it's still at 20% because we are flawed. If you do an act that's evil unintentionally, it is still evil because that impact has been felt. And so we need each other to make up for those flaws. So yes, you can't be good at everything. It's impossible.
You can be good at multiple things, but not everything.
Not everything.
Paulo da Vinci, be a freaking Renaissance man and be talented.
But for example, look at Picasso.
Yeah.
Right. And it was amazing art. I'm not going to pretend that I know all Picasso's work.
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't. But he was a massive womanizer, and I think he had some trouble with his relationships. And he was such an incredible artist. So you see, he wasn't good. He might have not been good at the social aspect of life, but he was good at art. He was not just good. He was fucking amazing by what the critics tell me.
Yeah,
you know.
Do you have an alias, which is Digi Lo Savant? Is there a difference between Digi Lo Savant and Paulo?
Yes.
What is it?
Paulo is the continuous person. A person that's always flowing, continuous till they die. Which, whenever that will be.
Whenever that will be.
Digi Lo Savant is what I choose to curate, is what I choose to show. You know, because I think there's a lot of talk about being genuine with art.
Yeah.
But I think to an extent art is genuine and disingenuous as well.
Yeah.
You know, because you want to put your personality out there, but also, because with me, for example, I've been liking colorful stuff recently. So, for example, when I did that project with you, that's why some of the shots were purple, because I love that color. But it's still tied into what I was feeling listening to you. So it was a bit of aesthetic, which is not always genuine. It's just, I just like this. There's no reason for it. It's not genuine, but it tied into a genuine emotion that I was feeling at the same time. Of course, there can be no Digi Lo Savant, without Paulo. So it is interconnected.
Yin and yang?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the same with me as well, because if people are listening or watching right now, I assume you know my real name. My real name's Azimir.
Azim.
Azimir. Azim. But some people call me Azim.
Azim.
Yeah.
Azim.
Yeah, some people call me Azim. Like not half the people in uni, like a good amount of people in this university call me Azim, which is a correct pronunciation. I really don't mind, but just call me whatever. As long as don't call me a bitch or motherfucker or whatever. But yeah, all that kind of stuff. But I guess what's interesting is I get called either one of those names, Azim or Renecide. What do you see? Like, who do you see me as? Azimir or Renecide?
The thing is, I see both of you being something different. Because, you know, I've collaborated with you. I've gotten to know Renecide and Azim. And I think, it's like I said with Digi Lo Savant, if Azim never existed, Renecide would never exist.
100%.
And it's something you have to embrace both, you know. I think Renecide is a person that will say what Azim's feeling without giving a fuck. So
You're very right in that, yeah.
Renecide is the wall for Azim to just shout and say anything he wants to the world. You know, because it is difficult. Because I know with your art, you have to be very vulnerable.
Very.
And it is fucking difficult being vulnerable. So that's why, you know, Renecide is, I guess, for me, is like Azim's vulnerability incarnate. It's Azim's deepest fears incarnate, which becomes something different because it's the fear, it's the anguish, it's this, that, but it's not necessarily Azim, but it stems from Azim.
Yeah.
Am I complicating things, or...?
I kind of get, yeah, because it's like, Renecide is like me going Super Saiyan. Literally, it's like me just channeling my inner beast within me. Because Azimir is kind of like, okay, I'm me, it's like me and autopilot, you know? Yeah. And Renecide is like, okay, you really fucking pissed me off. Now I'm about to like go ham, yeah. Like my next project as well. It's
TPT.
I almost said the name on a
Really?
Yeah, almost. I said that's it. But they'll never know if I said D or T. So either way, they didn't know what it is. So they already know the next if they watch the whole thing. It's about heartbreak, obviously. So Renecide's just me channeling. It's like an outlet for Azim to speak on, you know, because Azim can't use his voice, so he has to channel some, like maybe a megaphone, and then Renecide would just boom, like shoot out, and all the emotions will spill out, which is crazy. But do you think, because back to the topic of death, how long do you think you'll be alive for?
If I keep going the way I am going, which I do hope to change.
Mm.
I'd see it in my late 40s, early 50s.
Mm.
But I do hope to change that.
You think it will happen, but not want to happen.
Yeah, of course.
Mm.
I mean, mortality, we're all naturally scared of our own mortality. I am. Have you ever been up at, well, at least when I was going through some troubles with my anxiety, what kept me up at night is, you know, I think, because sometimes I don't work hard enough, I get very lethargic.
Mm.
And it's just down to, again, low self-esteem, don't want to do anything because I think it's not going to be good enough. And then I stay up at night and I think about my own mortality. Because when you were a kid growing up, you think your parents will live forever.
You don't think of
and you don't
much,
think of death. But then being an adult and the years are passing and now time's passing much more, well, very rapidly, in fact. Sometimes I stay up and think about my own mortality quite a lot. And it's something that I fear.
Mm.
But it's annoying because it's a fucking natural cycle of life. In fact, we need death.
Mm.
We need death.
We need an ending.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point of the whole story? You know, it's that movie that never ends. Like, what's the point? But what's interesting is you mentioned like when you're a kid, you don't think about death. I mean, unless if you count the age of 13 as a kid.
That's more teenage. When I say kid, I mean
5?
let's say like 5, 6, 7. When you start becoming conscious of the world around you,
Right,
you start developing
okay,
that self-awareness.
Because that was the earliest time when I was 13 that I had proper suicidal thoughts. And that's crazy to think of. I know some people may know this already. 99% of people don't really know. But when I was 13, wow, I wanted to die so much. I didn't get the concept of depression. I thought it was all in my head. And I thought suicide was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do it anyway and whatnot. Or I don't really think, like, because obviously if you kill yourself, you know, if you take your own life, then you go to hell, according to Quran. So that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing it. Well, one of the reasons what stopped me from making that action. But on top of that, you can't really, when you're 13, you don't really process these things. You kind of just want the pain to stop. And thankfully, obviously, clearly I didn't. But that does lead me to, if you've ever had suicidal thoughts.
Yeah, of course. And I think it's natural to say that you've had suicidal thoughts. Because a lot of people will have suicidal thoughts in their lives. It's becoming the modern day ailment to people.
Yeah. And,
you know, you shouldn't feel ashamed for, you know, necessarily having them. I've had them. I've never attempted to follow through with it.
Yeah.
But I've had them multiple times.
So you had the thoughts, but not the attempts.
Yeah, not the attempts.
That's good. Like, you don't want to go there. That's like, that is a beast that you probably may not beat.
The furthest I went was actually start thinking about how would I do it.
All right.
So because I thought to myself, you know, I'm feeling, I guess the best way to put it is really fucking shit. Feeling really fucking shit. So, you know, I would look up what's the least painful way to die, because I was thinking, hey, I'm thinking about this, whatever. If I were to go, at least I want it to be painless, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and luckily I've never attempted it.
I'm glad, man. You know, because that shit is difficult. You know, because you have to go through immense pain to get to that stage. You can go through pain, but immense pain is when enough is enough.
The last straw
that breaks the camel's back, and it does bring up the question of what if. Like, what would you say is the biggest what if moment in your life that changes I already got mine in my head. What would you say is the biggest what if moment in your life? So what if this didn't happen? What if that did happen? All that kind of stuff.
Okay. My biggest what if is, what if I knew as a child what I would become? You know, what if I had I had readily available all the experiences of my 22-year-old self, which is my age now when I was 8, 9. How would things change? because my biggest issue was, you know, people always told me I had like tons of potential, but then I became very lazy. So I didn't work through my childhood or my teenage years, and I developed, you know, little problems with my self-esteem, and then of course I became even more lazy, and even now, you know, sometimes like I'm talking to you, I'm thinking this guy has such. I say this, but I don't mean this in a malicious way. I have jealousy of you.
Me?
Wait. But I mean jealousy in a good way. It's a jealousy that I don't want to hurt you, but I want to take some of the things that you do and apply to myself. And your thing is work ethic. My work ethic is horrible, and it's something that I'm currently working on. So what if I knew that I wanted to get into filmmaking, into you know, a creative industry? What if I knew when I was a child? What if I knew? Because sometimes with my mental health is, I haven't done enough yet, I haven't achieved nothing. But I'll wake up, no motivation, that, I'll sit on the sofa all day, and it just repeats. And I'm thinking, what if I knew I would become this way? What would I then do as a child? What actions would I take? You know, maybe I would focus a bit more in my schooling. Maybe I'd actually already start practicing filmmaking at the age of 8, 9, 10, which I didn't, because I discovered it I wanted to do when I was 16, 17.
That's a good what if, because you mentioned like, you have a bit of jealousy towards me. In a respectful way. Yeah. No, it's just like the reason I bring it up is because you mentioned how in your childhood, people told you you'll be something, you'll be someone, right? And when I was a child, everyone said I wouldn't be shit. I got told I wouldn't amount to nothing, and look at the way you look. You know, you're short and chubby, like you pretty much lost, and you have no talent at all. You're never good at sports. I was terrible at everything, but I think that is what helped drive me in a way. So that kind of like laid the foundation for the work ethic. And when it comes to practicing work ethic, I mean, like, don't be too hard on yourself, because 2017, like mid 2017 to 2018, I probably uploaded like 4 videos on YouTube, and they're easy videos, like quick, like doing like 2 days. And the reason why I didn't do that is because the depression was too much. And you may go through this depressive phase. Well, you're not depressed and all that kind of stuff, right? Like not hardcore, like to the point you can't get out of your bed. I don't want to assume, just kind of,
Sometimes I do really struggle getting out of bed. I wake up, see 9 o'clock, and I'm thinking, I have this project to do. I love filmmaking, but at the minute I'm not feeling good about myself, so I'll just sleep. With me, sometimes I've told this to a friend, and I've said, to me, it's like life is food sometimes, and I have no taste buds.
Right.
So I can get that, a little bit of sustenance from it, but I can't get that enjoyment. I don't know if that'd be accurate for you.
That is what depression is kind of like. You have all these opportunities and everything's there, but something's not clicking. Something's not right. And it sucks because it takes a while to get out of, but once you get out of it, once you know where you want to go, your niche, you go ham, like you go hard on it. And once you know your why, and also on top of that, because I obviously split my life into 2, Azim and Renecide. Once I get disrespected as Azim, I use that to fire myself up as Renecide. I then just go because autobiographical. So if someone close to me hurt me a lot, and we've been like knowing each other for like a year, then clearly I'm going to take it personally and revolve a concept around it and make art. So I turn my trauma into a piece of art that can heal myself and heal other people. But that's very interesting, because my what if is, what if I didn't make Renecide? Like December 13th, 2013. What if that day, I remember I made a channel in the evening as well. What if that day I was like, nah, I'm not doing this? Or I think an even better one is, what if I was loved as a kid? Or as an adolescent? Renecide wouldn't exist. Like my family, my culture accepted me. Renecide wouldn't exist. That's my biggest what if. Because
the awful stuff also forges you as well, doesn't it? So it is a shame that you had to go through that stuff. Because I went through my own stuff, but I've always I've been loved. Since I was a kid, I've been loved. I love my father, I love my mother, I love my whole family. My sister, my nan, everyone, I love them. And I know I've been loved, even though, sometimes, we haven't gone along necessarily. I know I've been loved.
Yeah.
But so my issues were different. A lot of the time was mostly sometimes social with other people, etc., etc. But if I hadn't gone through things that I did, I wouldn't be the same person I was here today. And sometimes I think, I could be much better, but what if I was much worse?
That is very true. What if you went down an addictive route? If you got hooked on drugs and heroin and all kind of awful stuff.
I'm hooked on cigarettes.
Yeah.
And that kind of stems from all that has happened, but the silver lining is it's not crack cocaine, it's not meth, it's not heroin.
Yeah. It could be a lot worse. And plus you're self-aware about it as well. It's not like you're denying it. Which is
I've tried to quit. It's very difficult, but I need to do it. I need to do it. I need to just do it. And what if you were loved as a child? What do you think would differ from how you are now, or where you are now?
I think everything would change. Everything. I wouldn't be doing this creative stuff. Renecide definitely wouldn't exist. People wouldn't know what Renecide is.
You think you'd probably follow the design route?
Yeah, correct. I'll be following the traditional path in being a brown man in a Western culture, a Muslim man in a Western culture. And that'd probably just be typical businessman, just something something similar to my uncles or my father. So like, my father had like plenty of jobs like restaurant, traffic warden ticket warden. Uncle had like taxi driver, all that kind of stuff, like maybe a small business to run, for something very small and definitely not something that would leave an impact. And I probably would just been closed off as them, and I'll have enough to say. I'll be a nothing and I'll just be another one of them, which is very painful to say because it's my own kind, but the truth is it sucks being a black sheep, but 5-10 years time, I hope this all pays off. Maybe not 5-10 years that quick, but obviously before I pass away, I definitely want to leave an impact, because it's just something I have to do. I don't want anyone to feel suicide. Obviously it's going to happen, but I want as little amount of people to feel suicidal and depressed.
I think people should, of course, someone tells you they felt suicidal, etc. Of course, you want to approach them, but you shouldn't get all fearful with someone saying it. It's actually much more common than you think.
Really?
I believe so. Like it is much, like, of course you attempted it. That's But people from time to time feeling suicidal is becoming much more common. So I think it should be a bit more normalized. People shouldn't be like, shocked by it. People should have an approach to just naturally talk about it, talk with the person.
And that is why we're here, But it's
I don't think I said something shocking. Like, I don't know, maybe my dad has felt suicidal in his life. Maybe my mum has felt suicidal in his life. Maybe my nan, my sister, my family. Maybe I've never known.
And how would you deal with that if someone's suicidal? Like, if someone told you, I'm suicidal, what would you do? Not some random stranger, but someone either an acquaintance or a close friend.
Just listen, I think. That's the best thing to do, I guess. I'd just listen.
Because I guess when it comes to suicide and depressed people, they just want to be heard. And the biggest factor is that people don't care. But if you take the time to, like, you know what, if you make it clear, be like, okay, here's two options. I can either listen or I can give you advice. Like, pick and choose. Because if you start giving advice, they'll feel patronized.
You might accidentally be condescending, and they'll shut off.
And they'll be like, I don't trust you again because you feel like you're higher than me. And people don't want that. People just 99% of the time, stay hush. Just listen. That's all. And on the concept of love, Who would you say that loves you the most?
That's a hard question.
It's not a competition, by the way, but just who would you say from your personal experience?
I think there's multiple people that love me quite a lot. I think it'd be very unfair for me to pick just one person, because there's multiple people in my life that love me, and I'd say love me equally. Like, for example, my girlfriend and people in my family.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good. Yeah, and
it's unfair, and you know, everyone has a different perspective, so everyone has a different love. That's what I feel like.
It's like different love languages.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting you said the people that love you are your family and your girlfriend. People that love me the most, it's interesting because it's them, you know? Because, and obviously if you're listening right now, I mean you, like listening right now, because obviously I started in 2013, December. Obviously I uploaded in 2014 and just worked my way up over the years. I said to myself, look, this is your last chance. Okay, household doesn't love you, mosque doesn't love you, childhood friends doesn't love you, school doesn't love you. Only escape, internet, start fresh. And I said to myself, okay, 2014, if it doesn't work out, if one person doesn't like this, not at all, I'm going to upload loads of videos. If one person doesn't like this, you know, I'm going to take my own life. Simple as that. But I managed to get 125 subscribers in a year, which is pretty solid. And especially for a 14-year-old as well, who just wanted to be loved. That's it. And even to this day, you know, like that's one of my main goals, to be loved. And strangers on the internet show more love to me than my own people have. Because at least if you don't show love, you don't have to support me. Just to clarify, you're probably listening right now, skimming through this. Doesn't matter, you don't have to support me. But I'd rather have you not support me rather than belittle me. Because if you belittle me, it just goes to show where you stand in terms of how I want to see you in my life. Do I see you as someone that's a friend or a foe? Exactly. So love is very interesting in terms of who really believes in you, who really fucks with you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So this goes back to legacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've told me what you want your, let's call it your primary legacy, your priority, right? Mm-hmm. And I would say that legacy is very Renecide. Would you think? What about Azim? What do you think about the genetical legacy? Having your own children that you can give them love. Why are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on being Azimir's legacy. It's make sure that healthy family comes from me, and this is kind of Renecide to Azim intertwined together, but impact the local community as well. So the mosque that shame me for being who I am, I'll make sure that, you know, I teach them certain values about, look, being homophobic, being this, being that, it's not acceptable, like, within the society that we're in today. I mean, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, and they're all just trying to be accepted. So like how Muslims are trying to be accepted because of post 9/11. So use that as an example. But Azim's goal, just make sure that my wife is okay, make sure that my future family's okay. And if I pass away before 30 or pass away whenever, I'll make sure that everything that I've built since I was a child, since I was a preteen, I'll hand that over to them. And I just be like, look, hope you're proud of me. That's it, you know. So I just want to make sure that my wife is okay, wherever the hell she is, because I don't, obviously.
Are you thinking of someone?
No, I'm not. No. That finished, bro. Yeah. I spoke about that in the other podcast, yeah, in the Heartbreak podcast. But yeah, just it's hard to find someone that's really down for you, you know. Because one thing I realised within people that I date, they don't believe in me, which sucks. And they know who I am, just clarify. They know who Renecide is, but they don't believe in me, which sucks. But then again, I'm grateful that they're honest with that. So I cut them out. Well, not cut them out, but, you know, distance myself Like, if you don't love me like that, it's cool. We'll just find someone else. You find someone else. I wish you the best. I'll find someone else. I hope you wish me the best. But it's crazy.
Amicable.
Huh?
Amicable.
What's amicable?
It's like friendly.
Oh,
it's
right.
like a, you know,
civil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Civil.
He uses big words, man. I don't know what these mean. But yeah, it just, I don't know what amicable means.
Amicable.
Amicable.
I might actually be so the meaning of the word, it might actually be slightly wrong, the way I'm saying it. But yeah, it's like friendly, civil.
Is there anyone's legacy you want to try replicate?
See. No, I don't think so.
Really?
Maybe the levels of success.
Yeah.
For example, because we've talked about just having, like at the beginning, I just love to have the impact. But of course, there is a side of all of us that would like to have that impact whilst having some notoriety for it. So I look at different examples, but I don't necessarily want to replicate their legacy because I want my own legacy. So of course, you can look at other people's legacies as inspiration, but I don't necessarily want to replicate one because I don't think I'm capable of just replicating another individual.
Yeah, I get you.
What about you? Is there anyone that you want to replicate in terms of legacy?
There are bits and pieces from different people because I feel like your role models are going to define you. Well, who you surround yourself with is going to define you, but who you look up to is going to define you for the future as well. So, Michael Jordan, of course, because when you think of basketball, who do you think of? Michael Jordan, Air Jordans, all that kind of stuff. You think about his 6-0 final record, all that kind of stuff. Being MVP multiple times. Jimi Hendrix as well. He transcended the way you play the guitar, and he passed away 50 years ago. He's passed away a long time ago, and people still haven't caught up in terms of playing guitar to a next level because he did something that no one else has. Tupac Shakur as well. That's another person. He is just larger than life. His charisma is on a completely another level, and 24 years after his passing, he's still remembered, and he had a very short career as well. And his work ethic is insane as well. He has like 5 studio albums, does a load of movies, probably has 1,000 songs unreleased, all that kind of stuff. In terms of reinventing, is another key example of being an artist as well. People like Michael Jackson, Prince, Bowie, people that reinvent themselves with the times and adapt to the times as well. They're really important. And Kanye West as well, of course. They all really push music to another level. And instead of following the traditional rules of making music within their genre, they'd be like, okay, I'm taking a left turn. People either fuck with it or they don't. And they kind of make their own genre. They make their own sub-genre. And they make their own wave. And people follow on that wave. And that's why I make autobiographical documentaries. How many other people making autobiographical documentaries?
Not
a lot. That's the thing. So I'm trying to make sure that filmmakers step up. Step in front of the camera. Speak your truth. Or have someone that looks like you that speaks your truth, because it's technically autobiographical, because you're writing it and envisioning it. So it just, in terms of personality and charisma and drive, Tupac Shakur, Michael Jordan, someone like Dwayne Johnson as well, during his wrestling days, because he developed such a relevancy throughout decades, and he reinvented himself during the time when he was a wrestler. And he stayed fresh, so when the crowd hated him, he switched up his character and then adapted to it. And then the crowd loved him because it's so fresh and different. And if these people turn on me right now, someone listening or someone watching this hates me in 2 years' time or 2 months' time, I'll use, and it's not just one person or 2 people, I'm talking about most of the audience hating me. If most of the people hate me right now, not right now, but in the future, then I'll use that. I'll spin it, And then I'll just use that to fire me up even more and reinvent myself again and again and again, to the point you realize that, look, there is no debate that I am the best when it comes in the future, obviously. So there's just a load of people that I look up to in terms of how I portray my message. Kendrick Lamar as well, how I portray my message. If you listen to his albums, you could clearly tell there's an influence from his albums to my work, because it's very personal, it's very out there. You're both very introverted as well, and it's like, I like to study people's behavior. So if you're inactive on social media, I want to know why. So Kendrick's not, he hasn't been active for like 3 years. So I like being low key, using people's behaviors. I like that person's charisma, I want to take that. I like that person's reinvention sound, I want to take that. This person's sound, I want to like see where they got it from. There's loads and loads. Miles Davis. There's a couple underground rappers as well. There's loads and loads. Malcolm X. There's so many people. I can go on and on. But to summarize, there's a load of legacies I want to replicate, but I take a small section from each one, all the great bits from each one, and I put it into my own, and I use my own experiences, put it onto that. So it's my own creation. So, yeah.
So you use them as a foundation to make it more manageable.
Because art isn't finished, ever. Art is abandoned, or art is drafted, and then the next person will step up, add more to it. Once they're gone, the next person will step up, add to it. It just keeps going on and on and on until hopefully...
So like an ongoing revolution.
It's an ongoing revolution to not only help ourselves, but help the people that are paving the way. Because if you don't help people to pave the way, then fuck knows where society's going to be, you know? Which is crazy. But that's my answer. Just multiple people to make sure that I stay as authentic, as real, and most importantly, as myself this whole time. So, yeah. It's great. I didn't expect life to be like this, you know? Being 20 years old, being in a good position, except minus the COVID thing, being in a good position mentally, physically better than I was before, mentally more tougher, because the other day I was upset about cutting ties with someone, because, you know, I really, really like this person, but, you know, clearly it didn't happen. I was laying in bed and I just couldn't get up because that weight of being a disappointment to them, not being enough to be loved by them, wasn't enough. But the why, fight that thing carved in my brain, you must become the best, you must become the best, you must change the world, all that kind of stuff. It's carved into my brain, I can't get rid of it. And I launched myself up, I hit gym, and I just got on with my day, which, once you know your why, you're unstoppable. Because not sure what 2020 was like for you, but this has been the best year of my life since 2016, and one of the most important years of my life. Physically stronger, mentally more tougher, work ethics more sharp than ever, and I'm just hungrier, man. Like, I just have to become hungrier, man.
We need to eat.
I need to, yo, listen, I'm a big buffet right now, man. But
eat metaphorically,
yeah.
Know your goals.
I'm just hungry, man. Like, and I'm so glad, because I wasn't like this a year ago. A year ago, I was upset about someone that didn't really think about me at all. But man, I made a lot of sacrifices when I was a child, when I was a teen. I really risked everything, and I'm gonna risk everything again next year, 2021. And I might get into a lot of trouble for what I do next year, but it has to be said. So I just be the best, man. That is not easy, but I gotta do it for the people. You know, do it for the people listening right now. And this is another outlet. You know, I'm gonna keep branching out: podcasts, fashion, music, all that kind of stuff. Because this is us talking. There's no one else here. It's a nice, beautiful setup. Shout out Joel Cable, by the way, for the camera and all that kind of stuff.
Joel!
Shout out Joel Cable. And it's great. Feeling fired up. And I can't wait for us to keep working together to make more things. Fuck knows where we're going to head. Don't know.
I have no fucking idea, but fuck it. I'm going to enjoy the process, you know what I mean?
Facts,
man. Know what I mean?
I just know whatever's out there will be positive, and there'll be a big change. But for now, so I guess that's all I have to say from my end.
I'd shake your hand, but we need to be distant.
Yeah,
you can't probably tell with the camera angle, but we're a safe distance.
We're at a safe distance, ladies and gentlemen. Just I'm over here. Hi, that's good.
Oh, I might sneeze. I'd shoot.
No, don't. Yeah, that's gross. But yeah, but yeah, just fuck it. Is there any last thing you want to say? Or?
Follow me on Instagram at Digi Lo Savant.
Actually, follow at Renecide and at Renecide. Yeah, follow Paulo. He actually made a piece about me, by the way, just to clarify. He made a biographical vignette of your boy, Renecide. Come on. But it's digi.lo.savant.
Yeah.
So it will be in the description below, So if you want me to link anything else, that's appropriate. I'll put it in the description, because I don't know if you use Twitter or if you have a Facebook page. And
I don't use my Facebook anymore. Nor have I ever used Twitter. I might get into it, but
it's a bit toxic too. Yeah, stick to Instagram.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm safer there.
And maybe Reddit as well. I don't barely use Reddit.
I use Reddit to read. I don't post a lot, but
and YouTube as well. Great resource. So yeah, that was a conversation about legacy, death, being the best, being content, all that kind of motherfucking shit. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank Paulo, aka Digi Lo Savant, for being a guest. And now we finally did it. Oh my god, I was so vexed. Tick. And then we'll probably do another episode next year.
Tick.
So, but yeah, just thank you for your wisdom, your knowledge, your perspective. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being vulnerable too. I appreciate you being creative and humble. And it's nice to see, especially in this industry where people are jacking your shit and people are holding you down. Social climate. So I like to appreciate you not being one of them, because every guest I have on here I have respect for, So yeah, thank you so much.
And I'm here because I have respect for you.
Oh, thank you. You're giving me I'm
not being flirtatious. Don't worry.
Oh no, don't worry, man. There's a load of people flirting with me. Come on, fucking King Renecide.
It's Rennie.
But yeah, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Paulo, for watching and enjoying the show. And I'll see you motherfuckers until the next one. Peace.
Hopefully I see you on my feed liking my pictures.
No, that's not going to happen. Fuck him. Alright, see you later.